Miktsas means a partial sickness. He has a cold, flu, whatever. But he's not in bed. Not feeling well. Then goes, what's the next one? Sargodo, right? Sargodo, a lot of pain. He's in a lot of pain. He's very uncomfortable. Something's really bothering him. No danger involved. He's not in bed. Then goes Sakana. That means he's sick, he's in bed. He's not feeling well to the point that he's in bed, but he's not in danger. Then goes, what's the next one? You have it? Sakana Saver, very good. Sakana Saver. Danger of a limb. There's a danger of him losing a limb becoming dysfunctional, a limb becoming weakened for life. So then that's a different category. Then goes the harshest one is Cheshvan Sakana, someone who's in danger. Sakana, someone who is in danger. So I guess we'll go over briefly. Some of you are not here on Monday, so we'll try to explain it as best as possible. Not going into too many details, not to bore those who were here already. Go over it again, so we'll try to put it together. Okay, so if someone doesn't understand, wants help understanding a category, I'll explain it again. Just ask me. In Mechish is a category where something is bothering him, but he can't take medication because he's not really sick. He has a pain, a discomfort, so he can't take. Oh, for example, a rash, irritation. He has a rash, chapped skin. That would be mechish. That wouldn't be miktsas chayli. Even miktsas chayli also can't take medication, but that would be mechish, right? Miktsas chayli is someone who's sick, has a cold, has a virus, but he's not in bed. But he's sick, he's not well. Can be other examples. Miktsas chayli, who knows what could you do for miktsas chayli? Could you use medication on Shabbos? So we spoke, those who are not here, the Chacham, our sages forbade medication on Shabbos. Generally speaking, obviously there are exceptions. A person needs to take medicine. Yeah, don't get scared. But generally, use medication on Shabbos. Unless you come to starting from this category, you can already take medication. But the first three categories, it's a decree. They just can't use medication.
Why?
Why? Because it's a decree. Back in the days, they would have to make the medicine, you have to grind the herbs. Grind trina.
But if they do the trina not on Shabbos.
Let's say that it's a decree. They said because it was very common those days to grind herbs for medication, but they made a gzeda that you're not allowed to use medication because you might come to grind herbs. It's a gzeda. Okay? We discussed in another class that there's an opinion that says that these days it's possible, it could be that the decree doesn't apply. It could be. He's not saying you can decrees can. It could be, but not sure, but you have to be strict. But because there's a doubt, maybe the decree doesn't apply. So when you have another reason to be lenient, you have like a doubt in what category you're in, there's flexibility with medication. That's why we'll see the different situations we could be flexible with medication. Tzargo means a lot of pain. Tzargo does not mean excruciating pain where if it's a danger involved, we're not discussing that, of course. But you know what the situation is. You know there's no danger. And it's not a pain that's intolerable. Because if the pain is intolerable, then it's going to fall to the category it will fall to the category of Chedesh and Sakana. It's functioning. What is Chedesh and Sakana? The person is not functioning. He's in bed. He's so weak he can't function. So we allow medication. So if the pain, so we're talking about pain, and you're saying you can't, depends. Like that. So we said if you have a migraine that you just feel you want to be in bed, whether you're in bed or not doesn't matter, but you feel like you want to be in bed. You feel that's where you belong. Sometimes people can't be in bed the whole time. They got out of bed, they feel that's where they want to be, they're not functioning, so then the status of Chiddush is Mesukana, which medication is allowed. Now, there's another difference I said I'm going to discuss, and that is the difference between Miktas Chayil and Tzar Gadol is that there's something called Shuvos to Shuvos. Okay, so again, if you tell a non-Jew to do something that's prohibited rabbinic, that's called Shuvos to Shuvos. Telling a non-Jew is rabbinic. And what are you telling him to do? Something that's rabbinic. So it's Shuvos to Shuvos. Or, as other examples, if a Jew himself does something rabbinic, not in a regular way, it's also Shuvos to Shuvos. But now you see there's two types of Shuvos to Shuvos. There's more, right? I need to say this. There's a few types, but there's two categories of Shuvos to Shuvos. One category of Shuvos to Shuvos is that the non-Jew is doing it. Another category of Shuvos to Shuvos is that the Jew is doing it. And they're both Shuvos to Shuvos. Who is doing something that's prohibited? Some of you still writing it down, so wait. Still writing it? Wait. You have it? Okay. If a Jew is doing something that's rabbinic, and he's doing it with a shina, not in a regular way, that's also Shuvos to Shuvos. The Jew is doing something that's prohibited rabbinically, not in a regular way. When you do something not in a regular way, that is rabbinic. And what he's doing is a rabbinic prohibition. So if a Jew does a rabbinic prohibition, which is Shvus is rabbinic, and he's doing it not in a regular way, then it's Shvus to Shvus. Get it? Because it's rabbinic itself. If you do it regular, it's rabbinic. Now he's doing it not in a regular way, in the Shina. Now it's Shvus to Shvus. But who is doing it? The Jew. Then you can have a guy doing a Shvus to Shvus. You're telling the guy to do a rabbinic prohibition. That's also Shvus to Shvus. In other words, it's being done through a guy. You're asking a non-Jew to do a rabbinic prohibition. Asking a non-Jew is rabbinic. And what are you telling him to do? Something that's rabbinic. Shvus to Shvus. So you can have Shvus to Shvus through a Jew, Shvus to Shvus through a non-Jew. You get it? Make sense? They're in two separate categories. Even though they're both Shvus to Shvus, but when the Jew is doing it, it's worse than Shvus to Shvus. It's stricter than Shvus to Shvus through the good. And when it's through a Jew, we will allow it in this case of Tsar Gadol, but not in the case of Miktas Chayli. So Miktas Chayli, so I'll put it like this on the board. I hope this will be clear. You don't get it 1,000%. Don't worry about it. These things are complex. I'm trying to explain as best as possible, and you can always go it over again and review it. But so Miktas Chayli, we allow Shvus, Vishvus. Al Yidei, that's abbreviation for Al Yidei, Ayin Yud, Al Yidei. You can just write it out. Shvus the Shvus, Al Yidei, through the hands of a like Akum. Another one of the expressions for non-Jew is Akum. Yeah, familiar with term Akum for non-Jew, yeah. So the abbreviation for that doesn't matter. Not going into now. Shvus to Shvus, then it's Shvus to Shvus, Al Yidei Yisrael. The Shvus to Shvus through a Jew doing it. Al Yidei Yisrael through a Jew. So being more lenient because he's in a lot of pain. The Jew could do the Shvus to Shvus because the Jew is doing a rabbinic prohibition in an unusual way. That would be Shvus to Shvus through a Jew. That would be the only Shvus to Shvus through a Jew. It means a Shvus through a Jew. That would be the only way. Then comes Chayil Hashem Sakana. Chayil Hashem Sakana. You could have, you could have you could do a shvus. You're shvus to shvus, a double shvus. Shvus, you could tell a good, you could tell a non-Jew directly to do something that's prohibited biblically, prohibited by the Torah. You tell them directly to do it. Yeah.
I was gonna say, let's say England, you can only do Shabbos like holiday.
Chayil is sakana.
Yeah.
You can, okay. So whereas over here it's shvus to shvus, but when it comes to Chayil Hashem sakana, you can do a direct. It's doing just one shvus. You're telling the guy to do something that's prohibited by the Torah.
Exactly. I mean, I'm saying you can only ask them, you can only do that like for a guy, right? Rather than doing it yourself, the rabbinic progression yourself.
Now, oh, so now, correct. So the Jew himself to do it, very good. Shvus, we'll make it clear. We'll write it. Shvus, Akum, using the term Akum here. Shvus, Akum. What is mean Shvus, Akum? They telling non-Jew to do something that's prohibited by the Torah. That's a shvus. Telling a guy to do something that's prohibited by the Torah is a shvus. But a shvus in Israel is not permitted. So it's specific. Okay, so let's emphasize this. Shvus through a guy is okay, but after understand, we say shvus through a guy, we mean you're telling the guy to do something that's prohibited by the Torah. To tell a guy to do something that's prohibited by the Torah, that's a shvus. You're doing a rabbinic prohibition. It's only biblical if you do it yourself. Now, if you're telling the non-Jew, then it's rabbinic. But a shvus through a Jew would not be permitted. Right. When the word shvus like the Israel also, shvus, how you day Israel is also privileged. So for Chayil Hashem sakana, a Jew cannot do a shvus. What do you mean a shvus? That shvus through a yid means that the Jew himself is doing the shvus. He himself is doing a rabbinic prohibition. And remember, we gave an example of that we said that if there's no option, okay, where's the basic example? Everyone agrees there's an exception to this rule. So if you not apply it according to what we discussed and fit it into this whole chart over here. Where is the situation where Chayil Hashem sakana shvus on the Israel is going to be permitted? No, Chayil Hashem sakana.
Like what can we do that's permitted?
What's a shvus? A Jew doing a rabbinic prohibition for Chayil Hashem sakana, that's permitted. Very good. Take medication. That's a straight out thing because there's no way to do it. Being that the guy can't take it from oral medication, you can't do it. If it's topical, if it's external medication, then you shouldn't do it yourself. The guy should do it. Now, if there is no way available, there are lenient opinions. We spoke about injection, to be a splinter, let's say, the same idea. You know, the splinter, let's say clear, injection says clearly that idea that should be done. No, sorry. A splinter and injection, no, injection is different than a splinter. No. Splinter and two different things. Mixing up. Injection should be done through a non-Jew, if you have a non-Jew. If not, there's a leniency to do it through a Jew by injection. Injection is a rabbinic prohibition, but if you have a non-Jew, there are things that are lenient. Then there is about puncturing an abscess or a splinter, where over there is also a rabbinic prohibition, and there's a little difference. It's interesting over there. If the person isn't, that's now an exception to the rule. All rules have exceptions. that in the case of a splinter or someone has an abscess, they have to open up the abscess to get out the pus. So if the person is in pain, discomfort, and he's, even if he's in this category, let's say, but even not, but if he's in a lot of pain, over here, there's going to be a leniency that you can actually have a open it up and take out the pus. The condition is, it has to be that if there's no interest in air coming inside, let's say, which is not usually the case. It has to be that you're not interested in it to stay open. You just want to take out the pus. So it's a classical case when you're putting up an abscess just to get out the pus for now. Now they want it to stay open. Get out the pus. So here, a Jew is allowed, we're not talking about it's going to be bleeding, just to get out the pus that's in there. Not that it's bleeding. So then you're allowed, a Jew can do it directly, the regular way, because a person is in pain. And that's an exception to the rule. If you notice that it deviates from what we discussed, that's an exception that you could. The reason is being that the person is in, again, it's not, there's no confusion of the person of this leading to medic. The reason why by Chaylashem Sakana we want to avoid medicine, but you do directly when you have to do a non-Jew, because it might lead that who also do the medication in situations where you're not allowed to use medication. But over here, because it's not medicinal, in other words, an injection is medicinal. Thing that opening up an abscess, thing out the pus is not medicinal. You know what I'm saying? Yes, of course medicinal. No, that's not what we mean. We mean is you're not doing any medicinal act over here. You just, because there's a pain and you have to take out what's there. You're not healing the person. So there was no concern that this will lead to the person using medication, even in situations where you're not allowed. That's the explanation. So, anyways, bottom line is, just to simplify what we're saying over here, is that even though usually a shvus to a Jew is prohibited, but in the case of opening up an abscess, that the person is in a lot of pain, then a Jew is allowed to do it. Don't matter that now they opening a way where there's going to be bleeding, causing bleeding is an issue. So here, what is the malacha of opening up an abscess? What is the problem? You know what the problem is? You can't open up cans in Shabbos. Make an opening. You're creating an opening. It's a form of fixing. Tikkun. You're accomplishing something. You're creating an opening for the pus to come out. It's a rabbinic prohibition because it's only biblical if it's a full opening that serves both directions, going in and out. Because it's not meant to go in and out, it's just to get out the pus. The intention is not that to get air inside. That's not usually the case. Medicinally, medically, they don't even want the air to come in. So it's assuming that's the case, just for the pus to come out, that means the opening is only in one direction. And then that's a rabbinical prohibition. So because the person is in pain, they allow even for a Jew to open it up. But if the intention, if you want it, let's say, to stay open permanently, so it should keep on giving out, it has a lot of pus, and you want it to stay open, like for the duration of a certain amount of time, not just momentary, then it says that it's better to do it through a non-Jew. Better if you could. But otherwise, it's just a one-time deal. You want to get out the pus, so then you can have a Jew do it directly. Okay. Any questions on this? Okay. So Seven, here we allow a shvus on Israel. A shvus through a Jew is permitted. Shvus al Yedei Israel